Hey everybody, welcome back to Library Says. My name is Jamie and today I'm doing the folklore tag. So I am a huge Taylor Swift fan. Huge. I've been a fan of Taylor Swift since I got obsessed with Our Song when it was on the radio when I was in 10th grade. So fast forward 14 years and I'm still obsessed and I love folklore. So definitely tell me down below in the comments what your favorite songs from folklore are. I think mine are Exile, August, Illicit Affairs, and My Tears Ricochet, I think. But that's always subject to change. I was tagged to do this tag by the incomparable Sophie Snow. I will link her video down below, so you definitely have to go check it out too. So the way this works is I'm going to recommend a book to you based on every single song on the album and tell you a little bit about why I picked that and why you should go read it. Let's get started. So the very first song on the album is The One, a book that you grew out of. I'm gonna go with The Trouble with Magic by Patricia Rice. This is a book that, funnily enough, I also discovered when I was in 10th grade, around the same time I was getting obsessed with Taylor Swift. It is a historical fantasy romance about a group of sisters who have magical powers in the, I think, late 18th century, who each fall in love with a very sensible, rational man who doesn't believe in all that silly magic nonsense. I was obsessed with this book back in the day. I read it over and over and over. This is my copy. I didn't keep book jackets back then, and it's just beaten to crap. It's also large print, weirdly enough. I don't know why I bought a large print copy of this book, but I was obsessed with it. I did a reread of this book for the first time in years, I think last year, 2019, and it did not hold up. The gender politics of the whole thing, I didn't love. I didn't like how she was treated like she was young and naive and innocent, and she was a child, even though she had this powerful ability and kicked butt the whole book. She was just babied and he kept calling her child and things that just didn't age well. I ended up giving it 3 stars on my most recent reread, which is sad because I used to be just absolutely obsessed. Song 2 is Cardigan, a book you keep coming back to. I'm gonna go with A Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I have reread this book like 6 or 7 times in the 2.5 years since I first read it. I have read it twice so far in 2020. I don't know what it is about this book, but it's such a comfort read for me. I'm obsessed every time I read it. I love the couple. It's like slipping into a warm bath. Like I'm just so comfortable and happy, and I root for them and get anxious for them, and I don't know, something about these characters and their story really, really works for me. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but this one for me it just does it. Song number 3 is The Last Great American Dynasty, a book where everything goes wrong in the best way. I'm gonna go with the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. This series starts off as one thing, it evolves very quickly into something completely different, everything spirals way out of control, every character isn't who you think they are to begin with, everyone's got a secret destiny, no plans go according to plan, and I just loved it. I really enjoyed these. Some people don't like the direction the series took. For me, it just got better and better with each book. It was originally supposed to be a trilogy. It was very much a part of its time in that it was a trilogy with a love triangle and an assassin main character that was sort of a superhero and didn't have all that believable of a backstory. And then as the series progressed and it became a 6-book series and the world expanded exponentially and we got more characters and more backstory, I just thought the quality of the series just upped so hugely and I loved it, and nothing ever goes according to plan. All right, the next one is Exile. An ending you didn't like or a ship that sank. I'm gonna go with the ship that sank, and for me that's Adam and Juliet from the Shatter Me series. In the first book, they were like OTP status. I read that book when it first came out and I read it over and over and over again and I was obsessed with Juliet and Adam. And then you read the second book and you read the novellas from both Adam and Warner's points of view, and let me just say that by the end of the 3rd book, which is what I consider the end of the series, I pretend books 4, 5, and 6 don't exist. Let's just say not an Adam fan. That shit sunk. All right, My Tears Ricochet, a book that broke my heart. I'm gonna go with The Idea of You by Robin Lynn. I just read this last month and I'm still thinking about it. It's just a book that wrecked me. It is essentially Harry Styles fanfiction. I talk a lot about it in my wrap up for June. I'm gonna link that above if you wanna go check that out. But essentially it follows a 39-year-old woman who meets and falls for a 20-year-old lead singer of a British boy band. And it follows their relationship, and I was just head over heels for them as a couple and their relationship, and they go through so much. That book, like when I closed the cover of that book when it was finished, I was just wrecked, but in the best way. I can't stop thinking about it. I want to reread it, and I've told literally everyone I know that they need to read it. Next up is Mirror Ball, a book that speaks to your soul. I'm gonna go with The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. This I've talked a lot about. I read it earlier this year. It's one of my favorite books I've read this year, and it is about Nina Hill, who is an introvert after my own heart. She works in a bookstore, she has friends, she enjoys going out, but she also has anxiety, and she needs a lot of alone time. She just was like my soulmate, my fictional soulmate. This book was exactly perfect for me. Next up is 7 characters you want to take home and protect. For this one, I'm going to go with Morgan from Birthday by Meredith Russo. Morgan is a trans teen. We start following her on her 13th birthday, and it follows her and her best friend, who are born on the same day, in snapshots from their 13th birthday to their 18th birthday as their relationship changes and grows, as Morgan learns more about who she is. And she broke my heart, and I loved her. It's been a long time since I have so deeply cared for a character so quickly, but this book just got me, and I loved Morgan. I would protect Morgan with my life. Okay, then August is Summer Love. I'm gonna go with The Last Summer of You and Me by Anne Brashares. This is one of my favorite books of all time. I got it for my 17th birthday from one of my friends in high school, and I've reread it so many times. It's falling apart. It's just, I love this book. It follows 2 sisters, Alice and Riley, and their best friend, Paul. They've spent every summer together because they have beach houses on Fire Island, New York. They only see each other during the summers, so their relationship has really been confined into summer life and not real life. And then they go several years without seeing each other and return to Fire Island as adults, seeing each other for the first time in years. And it follows the relationship of all 3, and it is beautiful. Summer love in that there is a romantic relationship, but also the 2 sisters and their relationship is the best part of this book, especially as someone who is super close to my sister. It's really an important book to me. And if you love summer romances and you like a little meat to your beach reads, this is a perfect read for you. Next up is This Is Me Trying, Mental Health Rep. I'm going to go with Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This book follows a woman with chronic illness and a man with anxiety and depression and I think PTSD from a previous relationship that went really, really badly. It is a really well done look, I think, into both mental and physical health and how they can impact a relationship and how they can impede or benefit relationships in life. And just, I don't know, they're really well done and really complex, interesting characters. I feel like I was the last person to read this book, so you've probably already read it, but if you haven't, you should. Okay, then Illicit Affairs, A Forbidden Romance. I'm going to go with the Harbinger series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a YA sort of urban fantasy paranormal series that follows a half angel, half human girl with guardian protectors who are basically gargoyles, and there is a forbidden romance element in different ways in the first 2 books, but I can't tell you more than that without spoiling it. I'll just say that I went into these books kind of expecting nothing, just got obsessed. I've given both books 1 and 2 5 stars. I am desperate for the release of book 3. They're just really well done, action-packed, the relationships are really awesome, the character development is great, they're sex positive, and just, I don't know, the relationships really kill it in these books. So if you're looking for something forbidden, but also just a really interesting take on a paranormal adventure, then this is a really good series. Next up is Invisible String, Soulmates. I'm just so basic and lame. I'm gonna go with Feyre and Rhysand from the ACOTAR series. Obviously Soulmates, obviously OTP status, absolutely obsessed with them. I've reread ACOMAF, I couldn't tell you how many times. I just love them. And I think that's all that I need to say about that. Next up is Mad Woman, A Vengeful Woman. I'm gonna go with Gone Girl. It's the one that immediately came to mind. It's nothing all that original, but I feel like Amy Dunn is sort of like the vengeful woman, right? Like she's just, I've only read the book, I haven't seen the movie. I do want to see the movie, but if you haven't read the book, I highly recommend it, and I especially recommend the audiobook because I thought it was really, really well done. Then Epiphany, A Loss You're Not Over. I guess this is a spoiler if you've been under a rock for the last 2 decades, but Finnick and Mockingjay devastated me. I loved him. He was one of my favorite characters of the entire series. His relationship with Annie just broke my heart, and then when he died, I It was easily the worst death for me of that series, if not many, many series. And I'm still not over it. Okay, then Betty, a love triangle or sapphic romance. I decided to go with Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, which is sort of a complicated take on the affair, where a woman befriends a married couple, starts an affair with the man, but also has a relationship with the woman, and it's all super complicated and awful and so much fun to read. It's like watching a car wreck. Like, it's awful, but you can't look away, and there's just something gritty and fascinating about it. If you have read a Sally Rooney, my guess is that it's Normal People, and I love Normal People too, and Conversations with Friends is a very different book, but it's still very Sally Rooney, so if you like her writing style, I guarantee you'll love Conversations with Friends. All right, and then we have Peace, which is Found Family. I'm gonna go with Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. This is sort of like my favorite found family ever of all time, when a group of misfit thieves and criminals and people with secrets, lots of secrets, are forced together to pull off a heist, and none of them trust each other or like each other, and then the relationships really grow and develop believably, and you just, I loved them. They were such a solid found family. I think it's really the best part of that duology, and what makes it so special is the relationships between the group of main characters. And then the last one is Hoax, a character that fooled you. I'm gonna go with Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. I'm not gonna tell you which character it is that fooled me because that's a huge spoiler, but let's just say I was fooled a bunch of times reading this series. It's a trilogy, and there's a spin-off standalone that's coming out next year I'm really excited about, but I don't know that I've ever gasped aloud the way that I did upon a reveal about a character towards the end of this first book. I was just shook, honestly. This book follows a teenage, like, true crime aficionado who gets accepted to kind of an odd boarding school for exceptional teens who each have their thing, and her thing is her obsession with true crime and wanting to be an investigator when she grows up, and she specifically loves a crime that took place at that school in the 20s, where the founder of the school's wife and daughter were kidnapped, and a ransom note was left signed Truly Devious. The crime was never solved, and so she basically says, if I can go to your school, I will solve the crime. It's great. It is great, and you bounce back and forth between present day and the 20s when the crime originally took place. It's good stuff, and it will shock your socks off. So that's it. Those are my recommendations based on every song on Taylor Swift's Folklore album. Did you love Folklore? Please, please, please tell me which songs you love down below. If you've read any of these books and want to chat about them, let me know in the comments about that too. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!